Okay, this is Mr. Tim's class, and we're gonna learn about the framing parts of a roof system today. So the first one, of course, is the rafter. All right, the bones of a roof, you might say. All right, like the ribs of it, and the different parts of a rafter. All right, so this is a rafter. This is a rafter. Is the heel and seat cut. The seat cut is what rests on top of the top plate, and the heel cut is what rests on the wall. Um, the whole C cut and heel cut together is the bird's mouth as a whole. So it kind of looks like a bird's mouth, I guess you would say, but that's what it's called. All right, the opening here that rests on the double top plate. All right, up at the top is your plumb cut, and then you have your tail cut at the other end, and this is the end that the rafter that sticks beyond the wall. That is called your rafter tail, and the cut here is called your tail cut. So like I said, that's your rafter tail here, and your bird's mouth, and then your plumb cut. What your plumb cut rests on is called your ridge board. Your ridge board is either an LVL, a 2x10, built up 2x10, or 2x8 that holds all the rafters together at a singular point. So it keeps the rafters straight in line, and it adds stability to the roof system. You also have something to nail your rafters to. Your rafter tails hang over, like I said, the house, and there's two ways of doing it. You can cut your rafter tails to length when you lay it out, or you can leave them long, or it's called leaving them wild. And then you go back and you snap your line, all right, and you cut your rafter tails, and that's how you do it. You have to snap. You have to measure out from the building out to your mark on both sides. All right, on your last rafter tails. And then you snap a line, and you take a speed square and a level, and you mark your plumb cuts on all of them, and that's how you get a nice straight line. And then what's attached to your rafter tails is your subfascia board, and that's this board right here. It connects your rafter tails, and the thing about your subfascia board, it has to be below the top of your rafter tail. If it's not, it's going to block the way. So it needs to be like this. So this is your plywood sheathing, or OSB. It needs to have one continuous pitch slope. If it doesn't, you can't really install it like that. This needs to be beveled or lowered like this. The reason why I don't like it lowered, and most contractors don't like it lowered like this, even though yes, it is fast and easy, when you're nailing on your sheathing, there's this like blank space, gap space here, and eventually that might be a little bit bouncy. The nail might come loose because it's half of it's exposed and not really into anything solid. When you bevel it to the pitch, it's a nice continuous slope. There's no air space, no gap space. All right, it's a nice solid, and then you can also put your attach your drip edge right here solidly into your subfascia. With this, you have your drip edge right here. All right, it's still not going to have anything solid behind it. Ceiling joists, and what ceiling joists are. So like rafters don't have anything to go across the ceiling, so you need these ceiling joists, all right, to attach to your rafters on top of the other top plate, so you can have a ceiling in your room, all right, separate from the attic space, and you can also fasten your drywall to it. So here's your ceiling joist right here. You have to have something to close up the ceiling of the room, and so that's what your ceiling joists do. They also help stiffen up your rafters, and it kind of makes it a good triangle shape. Like I said in the other video, triangle is the strongest shape. The other thing that we have here is called a collar tie. It's a good idea to put collar ties on your rafters. It prevents uplift when there's strong winds, because right here is where you have soffits, and the updraft, all right, from the soffit, where you have to have let air into your attic to cool it off, because you don't want to get too hot up there. If the wind's too strong, it can get in there and blow your roof off. All right, so you have these collar ties, and it kind of keeps your rafters nice and stable and together. All right, so there's really two ends. If we look at a house here, this end of the house, all right, it looks like this big triangle. Okay, it's called your gable end, and on that gable end, you can have a barge rafter that extends out beyond your house. Okay, not all houses have this, but it's a good idea to put on your gable ends an overhang with these barge rafters, so it protects your house. Like you see here, this is overhanging. This rafter here is overhanging the house itself. It protects it that side from the weather. And then how to attach this barge rafter that's overhanging is that you install these lookouts. All right, sometimes they're called outriggers, and these lookouts are usually 2x4s. Now there's a lot of different ways you can install these. You can just nail them on like this, all right, on the flat, or you can do it like this. This is the way I prefer. You notch out the first gable end rafter here, and you put these 2x members in, and that's what you put these two last rafters that are called barge rafters on. Now, these barge rafters, they don't have any bird's mouth because they're not resting on the top plate. All they are is connected by these lookouts here. Here's a good example of what it looks like. First of all, we have a nice beveled edge subfascia. That looks great. Nice job. And then we have our barge rafters, no bird's mouth, you see. And then you have our lookouts right here. These lookouts are just installed like this. That's fine. All right, but I like the little extra support with notching out the last rafters and kind of do it like that. It's definitely more time consuming, but I think it's worth the process. And then last but not least, you have to have gable end studs on the gable side that goes with the same layout as your gable end walls. And the reason for that is you need something to nail on your sheeting. So these are all your gable end studs here, and you can see it goes above the on-center spacing. Let's see here. That's right above the stud here. And this style right here is the way I like to make it. It's a little bit more time consuming, but it supports that end gable rafter by making it the cut like this, and also supports it from behind so you can nail the rafter on it. You can just do something like this, where you just cut the bevel all the way and you just kind of nail it on. I mean, that's fine, and it kind of just rests underneath. But this having this nice little backing and this nice little lip, and it kind of just fits in place there. That's just quality that I like to see. All right, so you have your gable end studs here. Those lookouts are also called noggins over in Europe, like British and UK there. But that's what we're looking for. You can see that these notches are already notched out. That's for your lookouts to overhang, and so you can have your barge rafter out. Another thing to point out is that you can have, some people like to extend their ridge board for their barge rafter. You don't necessarily have to do that. Let's see some of these pictures. All right, this doesn't even have the ridge board. This picture does the ridge board there. But what you could do is just connect this barge rafters to pre-connect them and then install them. Kind of an easier way to do it. Not a bad way to think about doing it, just because you can install all in one piece because you have nothing to rest it on here. So it's kind of floating out in the air. So if you just have two people, one on each side, and it's one piece, you can kind of help each other out. And then you can match it up at the top. So just another way to do it. All right, this concludes the parts of a roof system.